is Cypher Morrison, and this is This Week in Car Audio. Tune in. This Week in Car Audio. Tune in. We'll be talking about bass, talking about chips, talking about rings. You ain't got them, zip your lip. You got a problem you haven't found, check your grounds. The show about to start. Tune in. This Week in Car Audio. Yeah. Tune in. This Week in Car Audio.
Welcome to This Week in Car Audio with your host, the Judge, Doug Stockton, co-hosted by Mr. Jeffrey Fernandez. What's good, Jeffrey?
Hey, nothing much, Doug. Just hanging out, trying to stay dry out here in Texas. Man, there's like storms and there's like a tornado warning, I think, earlier today.
How's it look in Wichita? Since I'm not there, is that in the same area?
Safe. Okay. No, I think you might be safe, but I think Oklahoma is getting the worst of it right now. So.
Okay. So how far south is it? Is it heading down to Wayne and Solis, down their way too, or?
I don't believe so. I think mainly it's like northern. They call it northern Texas.
Not Panhandle specifically or any of that stuff.
Right.
It's all northern Texas, Oklahoma. So what's chances of a ooh, that's loud. What's chances of a tornado out your way, you think?
Hopefully slim to none.
Slim to none. Do you guys have you ever got tornadoes, since we're speaking of that?
Fortunately, no.
Okay.
No. So, which is probably a good thing. I probably wouldn't know what to do. I'd probably just curl up in the bathtub, which I think they say to do.
Oh, okay.
And just kind of wait it out.
All right. Yeah. So I take it you don't have a storm shelter and stuff.
No, but there's a Buc-ee's gas station that says, like if something happens, come here. So I'm like, all right, that's exactly where I'm gonna go.
Justin Solman's. I almost got hit by one Saturday night in OKC.
Ah, yeah, Oklahoma, man. It's like that's where all the tornadoes are.
Tiffany says, tornadoes. Are you ready to run, Jeff?
Yes, I'm ready to curl up in a little ball.
Justin says he just made it back home. Oh, Dave no-show Bradshaw piping in there. I missed him. I got on a little too late. So, but yeah, Dave no-show Bradshaw popping up there. Anyway, so let's go over. I want to thank our sponsors for today's event: Bass Badass Sounds by Steve Bass and E-Box. Install and design, guy out of Texas right there.
And a shout out to Eric, or hopefully
E-Box.
He's watching. E-Box, hope you're okay. I think he had an incident happen to him earlier this morning. He put a picture on his
there he is right
Facebook.
There, Eric Hansen. Hello everyone.
Oh, hey Eric, how you doing? I hope you're doing okay. I saw the picture you posted, and
what was it?
Hope everything's all right. It was him on a gurney in front of a ambulance with his leg taped up or wrapped up or something like that. So
was he doing every 90 seconds or whatever that is?
Every 90 seconds.
Oh yeah, you never were part of that?
No.
Okay, so hold on.
What is that?
Hold on a second. We got one more to mention. One of our sponsors is Justin Stolman, which is Stolman Transportation LLC. If you guys need something to move, talk to Justin. If you guys use one of our sponsors, please let them know you know about them from our podcast, and let them know. Joel Yamit popping in. So Will Welcher, we got Lord of Bass Will popping in here. He was the No Walls world champion, record-setting world record holder for Cyclone Demo No Wall class. Anyway, so are you familiar with the every 90 seconds, Will?
I am not.
You are not. That's interesting. Oh, Eric says, I nicked my artery on my leg. That could be really bad.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
The femoral artery, whatever it is, that runs down your leg there. Yeah.
Femoral.
Femoral. There you go. Femoral artery. Like the femur.
Yes.
Femoral artery. Yes. If you were to actually expose that in any way, you puncture it, it's done in a very short amount of time. Anyway, Will Welcher, welcome. How you doing, sir?
I'm living the dream.
Oh, I was going to tell you, every 90 minutes. So what they do is the high schools, they stage a crash out in front of the high school, and then every 90 seconds or whatever that time frame is, they come and pull a kid out of class, and then he comes, they, him, them, she, whatever, comes back, and they're not allowed to talk to anybody, and they hold a rose or something, signifying that they're now dead. And it shows you how many people are killed. Someone's killed every so many seconds in the United States for drunk drivers.
Okay.
And so that's what it is. And they come and pull them out of class and all that stuff. So that's what that is. That's why I was saying maybe he was participating in that.
I probably think that he wished he was instead of his current situation.
Lewis TVC popping in. Haven't seen him in a while. Watching from the Denver airport. It was pumping blood out with my heartbeat.
Oh, wow.
That's exactly how that works.
That's pretty
odd
graphic.
enough. Yeah.
How did he do it?
Yes.
Yeah, let's see. We got to hear about how you did it since you won't come on the podcast and tell us. Oh, Jose Ramos popping in. This is Senior, for you guys that don't know. Let's see here. Woody McDonald. What's up, Will, Jeffrey, Doug? Tell Will to leave a few DBs for the rest of us. All right. While we're waiting for Eric to write a small article, and we know, Jeffrey and I know he's going to send us a picture in the private messages.
Yeah, please don't, Eric. I'll pass on.
Why don't you tell us about your ride and your install, your build, and all that?
Okay, so I used to compete in Cyclone since the inception, right around 07. Okay, and back in 07, they didn't have the bonus for low frequencies, right? So if you go back, it was just a 30-second run, and it kind of was geared towards people who were tuned higher. 52 hertz seemed like, people were averaging, mid 150s at 52 hertz, and then somewhere along the line they modified it, and they modified it, and they modified it, add the EQ, which was great, right? But it's hard to do the EQ when everyone's playing their stereos at shows. Like, they have quiet time, right? And so, and every car's different, the mic placement. So the current format I like. The 1 minute it's a little brutal, right? But it seems like the most consistent as far as like fairness it goes, right? Because you have to build your system to last. Most systems can play 30 seconds full tilt before they melt.
Right.
Right. But a minute's a different story. So I have 3 Lorda Base 18s, 850 ounce motors, 4-inch coils, 6 spiders. My box is 18 cubic feet. It's tuned to 19 hertz. I have 12s in the door, 12-inch mid ranges, mid woofers. I have 2 8s in each door. I have 6 8s in my dash, and I have 6 horn tweeters. And I'm running audio cubed 10Ks to the subs and audio cubed amps, 4 channels to my mids and highs. With a Kenwood head unit and an LF audio Bluetooth bass remote, which is amazing.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And I have a Digital Designs. I'm not sure what model it is, but it's just 2 in, 8 out. So I can run all my amps in slave mode.
Oh, RCAs?
So, yeah. So
ZDL?
Oh, it's a bridging unit.
Yeah.
ZDL, right?
So I don't have to sit there and try to mess with the gains and try to level match.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's all in a Talon?
Mazda, 2006 Mazda 6.
Mazda 6.
Yeah, and I have a Warpath lithium-ion bake.
Okay. And what does that mean for people that may not know what?
It's a 200 amp hour lithium bank, and I'm running basically 15.8 volts. I have a Autotech Engineering alternator and all sky high wiring in the car.
Oops. Woody McDonald wants to know sound cubed or audio cubed?
Sound cube. Well, it was originally audio cube. Sorry.
Oh.
They've changed their name, right? So at one
Okay.
point they were audio cube, 10 years ago. Sorry, sound cube. Yes.
Okay. So Eric Hansen says, I was cutting a box with a box cutter. I had just put in a fresh razor blade in it and cut past the box into my leg.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's aggressive box cutting.
That is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why doesn't that surprise me with Eric?
That's hilarious.
But yeah, glad he's okay.
Glad he's okay. I mean, since he sponsors the show and all. All right. So what? Well, let's start all the way to the beginning. Was there a sound system, or what was what introduced you to car audio first?
Okay, so in 1993, I had a neighbor around the corner who had a mini truck. He had a Toyota.
What's his name?
Oh, cool.
His name's Ed King.
Okay.
And so Ed King graduated, I think, high school in like 91. I graduated high school in 97.
Okay.
And in 1989, Ed drove his Toyota mini truck. It was a King cab. He drove his mini truck, and he stopped at a stop sign. I was skateboarding down the street, and I just happened to look into his truck, and his passenger seat was out of the car, and it looked to be 3 Alpine 15s. A lot of people didn't know that Alpine used to make a Pro Audio style 15 back then. Like Soundstream made a Pro Audio 18 at that same time period. They're super rare. I think they're all made by like Eminence or Electro Voice at that time period, right?
Yep.
And I later found out he had a reference 500, and he was playing Paula Abdul, the song Rush. And it had like a real solid, like 40 hertz bass kick drum in it. And he just happened to play it, and I could feel it. And I was like, that's cool. So at this time, and if anybody was around in 93 who was doing car audio, it was the heyday, right? Everybody had to have a stereo. And my brother was at the age where he was about to start driving. So he's like, hey, government auctions in our area were a big deal. There were like a lot of police auction seizures, and you'd go to the government auction. There were just bins and bins of car audio, and you could bid on lots of car audio. So my brother got his car at the government auction. My brother got some car audio. Well, I knew this guy, Ed.
Hold on. Let me guess what was in that bin. RS Redline, Eminem Godfather, and Pyramid Phase 3.
You know what's surprising? Okay, so our bin and our price range.
Okay.
There was Sherwood.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Sherwood,
and Sherwood Majestic.
There you go.
There was also a JBL 1000-watt 18.
Okay.
And a I remember all this stuff, and a Kenwood all-in-one box. Like had 2 tens, the mid-ranges, and the horns.
Oh, right. The all-in-one chuck boxes back in the day.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can put it in the hatch or whatever, right? It was like a hatch style.
Real quick, Eric Hansen says, they took my razor blade away from me at that work. Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Anyway, so you bought this lot.
Bought this lot, and, I didn't know what I was doing, So I'd ride my bike. Oh, like Ed was kind of the local guy who knew how to do everything. So, but I was super intimidated by Ed because he was a big guy. I'm younger. And the first time I met Ed, I was 6 years old, and him and his brother were riding a 10-speed down my street. Well, me and my brother are little shit talkers, and we used to like to talk shit to people who were driving by. So him and his brother were riding by, and we go, "Hey, ugly." We don't know these two guys, right? They're like 12, we're like 6. So they come over and they go, "What did you say?" And we pull squirt guns out of our pockets.
Whoa.
Okay.
And he says to me, "If you squirt me in the face, I'll beat your ass." Well, I'm 6 years old. Of course I'm going to squirt him in the face. So I squirt him in the face, and he gets off his bike. I run to the backyard because I'm figuring that's base, right? Like, you get in your own backyard, no one's going to follow you. and he stopped. You know, he was raised. Luckily, he was raised right. And, later on, I just would kind of, go by his house and ask him if I could watch him do installs. And he said, as long as I didn't ask any stupid questions and I didn't get in his way, I could watch. And I saw this guy doing all this wizardry that's still implemented today that he was self-taught, fiberglassing, putting 412s in an old, 85 Camaro, just doing this stuff that I was like, wow, like this guy knows what he's doing. So by the time I was of age to drive, I said, you know what, I'm in a car club. Soundstream was big, Orion was big. I was like, I'm going to run all Soundstream. So I worked at a coffee shop at the time, and I saved all my money to buy some SPL 160s, a Reference 1000. I already had a Soundstream 6.0 that I did some horse trading for. I had MB Court separates, and a Clarion head unit.
It's a solid system.
Yeah, for a high school kid, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I had all the equipment. Oh, and I had 2 capacitors. Can't forget the capacitors, right? And so I have it all ready. And at this time, I've already built my own speaker boxes, but I know Ed is better than I am. So I ride over and I said, hey, Ed, I want you to do my install. He says, why don't you do it yourself? I said, because you're better than I am. I said, how much would you charge me to install it all? He said, $700. And I said, okay, that's fair. Let me work a few more weeks at the coffee shop. And in a month and a half, I'll probably have the money to do it. And then the next day he called me. He says, I'll do it for half price if you help me. Okay. And he goes, but you have to help. You can't fucking be lazy. And I go, no, I want to learn. So I said, so he's like, all right, 4 p.m. be at my house. So I drove over his house 4 p.m. We drove to his brother's cabinet shop. And it was the first time that I had been in a real wood shop, other than taking wood shop in high school. So there's router stations all set up. I mean, there's full table saws where you can run a whole sheet through, where you don't have to cut it with a skill saw, all this different stuff. I'm like, wow. So we worked from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. And I learned more in that 12 hours of work than I had learned previously, because I'd been tinkering since I was in 8th grade. And he did all the wiring for me when I was at football practice. And then when I got the car back, I did all the tuning. And from that point on, we've had a relationship ever since. Now him and his brother own a cabinet shop. And recently he got back into it. He got burned out. And then about 5 years ago, he caught the bug again. And you probably saw him at the show, Doug. He's the guy with the black Tesla that had the system in it.
On which show?
At the World Finals. He was a demo car. He had the black Tesla.
You.
And he had all the Gately audio equipment in his car.
Okay.
He was parked there. So he doesn't really compete, but he's just into it.
Uh-huh.
And so we help each other out. And at the May show and the Autorama.
Uh-huh.
So the Mazda hasn't seen a show since 2018 Autorama. And this is a funny story. And if Ray Pimley sees this, he's going to laugh. So he doesn't know the story. I've been trying to talk to him in person, but he's a popular guy. So he's hard to get one-on-one. Mm-hmm. So in 2018 at the Autorama, they didn't have Cyclone. So for whatever reason, I don't think you were the judge, but for whatever reason, they didn't have Cyclone.
Oh, you know what? No. Because it was a USAC only or something like that, or IASCA only or something.
Okay, and so I did Park and Pound.
Yeah, so whatever IASCA, right?
Yeah, whatever Park and Pound is in. I don't know if that's USAC or right.
Yeah.
And my car could do a 159 at 30 hertz at that time, but it shit on itself with 2 windows down. It shit on itself with the door open. So I lost by 10 dB to Ray's Cherokee when he had 612s in it.
Oh, so Ray Pimley's, yeah.
Yes, Ray Pimley. So at that point I said, you know what? I remember Ray when he was in high school, and I said, I can't get beat by a youngster. So I said, I'm going to rip this all out. I'm not going to cut any corners. And this car's not coming back until I can beat Ray at Park and Pound, right? That was my goal.
Uh-huh.
And I got busy doing installs for other people. Car sat. In 2020, I got back into it, built my dash. I got busy with customers. Next thing you know, the car's just rotting away. And then fast forward to this past May at the Autorama, Nick Stone set the record. And me and Nick, I work with Nick's wife. So every year, his wife would say, hey, Nick's going to get you this year at the Autorama. And I go, and I would say, no, he's not. And I would always make sure every year I did something different to stay one step ahead of him. Mm-hmm. Well, in that time period, Nick made leaps above where I was at. And at the show, when I heard his car, I told him, I said, look, you compete in Cyclone wall. I'll compete in no wall. Because my goal was to put 421s on my Mazda. But I said, we're on the same team, and I don't want to go head to head with you. Let's try to get first place in wall and first place in no wall. Mm-hmm. And so starting in May, I started the build on that car, and that car hadn't been started in almost 5 years. So it fired up. I changed the tires, changed the airbags, got the car registered, got it all up to speed. And then from basically May up into Surf City, it was grind on it. I took 3 weeks off from work just so I can get a certified score at Surf, mm-hmm. and then get enough points accrued so I could actually make World Finals. And then maybe a month before World Finals, I decided to change my amps because I was running 15-year-old amplifiers in the car. So, and they were kind of impeding how I sat in the car because they were sleds. You know, they were nice Korean, they were Cadence 12,000 watt amps, but they were Korean boards. They were 36 inches long, and they just took up a lot of real estate in the vehicle. So when I saw the SoundCube 10 case, they were 10 inches shorter. So then I could change the orientation of the amps. They were more powerful, new technology, and they could run up to 18 volts. So I said, okay, I got to put these in before Worlds. And the rest is history.
Yeah, Kyle Ernie says, Will had the dopest stuff since forever. And he says, 21's out the trunk, classic. Let's see here. Darren, he's the judge for Trinidad. Says, what's up, Jeffrey and Doug? Trying to watch on the plane, headed to Las Vegas, SEMA right now. Ooh, and then our Bridgetown, Barbados guys popping in, saying, hey, good night. Sorry to be late. He's out there testing competitors' cars for our 1st of December show. So we got a show coming up December 1st in Barbados. So that's what's going on there. So what were your thoughts on your – so you went before Nick, right?
Yes, I was first up.
And okay, so being first up, World Finals, you roll in. What was your thought process coming into this? Hey, I'm going to destroy the record. I'm looking to hit 60. What was your thought process rolling in at World Finals?
So before Surf City, I was nervous to go full tilt on the system because, you know, I didn't have enough time because I finished the install the day before I left on the 9-hour drive. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I played it up to about 75%, I thought. And then in the show, I saw all the scores, and then I did just enough to win first place. I'm like, okay, there's no need for me to stress the system. If I was first, I would have stressed it.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. So I think I did a 149 at 21 hertz. But I was like, all right, it's respectable. I won. So then I was like, okay. And then the next show, I said, okay, I'm going to take it a little bit louder, but I don't want to take it to what I think is its maximum because I kind of want to leave a little gas in the tank for World Finals.
Yeah.
And the day before the show, I was doing some testing, and on startup, one of my my Cadence amps just blew up on startup. And I had a third amplifier. I mean, I had 4 of these 12Ks. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, well, I can just replace it because I had a 12K on each sub. So I said, okay, I can replace it. But I was hoping that it wasn't the amplifier that was the most difficult to replace. And of course, Murphy's Law, it was.
Yes.
So I said, okay, well, I'm just going to strap the 2 amplifiers that are working. So the next show I went to, I turned it up. I look at the screen and it's doing like a 153.6. And I said, okay, I didn't want to be that loud. I wanted to do around a 152, but I let it run. Speakers didn't get hot. And then I was like, wow, okay. I just unofficially broke the record by accident. So I was like, all right, this is cool. And then 2 weeks later, my buddy sends me a link, and a female from Canada, her last name's Christensen. she smashes it, and I said, oh, I got some competition now, right? She kind of came out of nowhere. So then it was like, okay, so now I'm really trying to focus on getting hard on my system, and I said, okay, I'm just going to change my amps to newer technology. And the day before the finals, I said, hey, I had two people at the shop. I said, hey, hold my door. Hey, stand here. I want to see how loud I can get the system. Well, one of my subwoofers, spider landings, came unglued during testing. And, you know, it started making a familiar sound, but I was like, okay, I think I just lost a woofer one day before finals. There's no way that I can get parts, have this thing built, because for me to get my woofers out of the car, every amplifier has to be removed. And it was like, I don't have the time. So I looked in there and I could see the spider had lifted. So I was able to tilt the speaker and I epoxied it in place. So my goal at World Finals was just to get through my run the first time. And I babied it a little bit. And then you said, hey, you want to run again? And I'm like, why not? I said, hey, can I have 5 minutes? You go, no, you got to run instantly. And I'm like, all right. So then the next time I didn't roll into it. I just went hard on it. And about halfway through, I could smell the woofers a little bit. So I turned it down, made it through. And, you know, the rest is history.
Yeah. So what was your total final score?
I believe it was a 155.3 at 19 hertz.
Okay. Let's see here. Yeah.
Yeah. Total composite score 215.3.
Yeah.
So you got the full bonus points, 60 points, playing 19 hertz. But I mean, we all know once you hit 20, if you go any lower, you're not going to get any more bonus points. But
I think you peaked at 19, right?
Yeah, but see, the only reason why it says 19, right? So I found this old track off of a pan disc that said 20 hertz on it, but it registers at 19. And when I put my oscilloscope on it, the frequency is 19.47. But whenever I play boom check in the car, it registers at my highest peak at 21 hertz.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'd rather play 19 than 21.
Yep.
More, yeah.
Yeah, right. And if I would have played 21, I don't think I would. If I would have played boom check, I don't know if I would have actually won. I may have lost based on that 1 dB.
Well, so Kira Christensen, she was the one out of Canada.
Yes.
She did a 154.1 at 20 hertz for a total of 214.1.
Yeah, so it was close.
Oh, yeah. So it was a lot closer. And then I get a text, hey, isn't that a wall in his car? And so I sent pictures of your car. And why don't you tell everybody why they may have thought that it was a wall?
Well, there are videos of my car, and the last system that I competed with in World Finals, I had the same motor structures and the same coils, but I only had 2 18s, and it was a wall. And the system before that was also a wall that had 4 18s. System before that had 6 18s. So this car has had so many revisions in it. And then when I saw that there was a no wall class, I was like, perfect. Because, you know, when Cyclone was an open class, I would always tell people, I said, all it's going to take is one extreme vehicle to wipe everybody out. And that's going to be kind of BS because it's not the spirit of Cyclone.
Yeah.
You know, and so now that I see there's 3 classes, there's, you know, no wall, wall, and extreme. It's like perfect. You know, I think it's really balanced and set up well.
Yeah.
And speaking of extreme, you actually beat the extreme score. Right,
yeah. Well, if you think about it, most extreme vehicles are made to play those mid basses, right? 15 higher, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So his score is still impressive because I'm sure his peak frequency is closer to 50 or 60 than to 20. So his car is still loud, no doubt about it, right? Because, you know, he played a higher bass note, but he still was averaging in the 160s, which is super impressive. So, but I did see it and I was like, okay, cool. Because, you know, I'm 1 point out of the 3 points out of 5 away from extreme. So there were thoughts where, okay, well, if this sub doesn't work, like if I can't get the sub fixed, do I compete with 2? You know, which I probably would have done okay because the box is a little bit bigger. You know, the low frequencies are probably not going to suffer as much as the mid bass frequencies. But I was like, my buddy's like, hey, you're not going to win. You're not going to win if you don't fix it. And then so I started running scenarios like, where am I going to get 318s right now on a Thursday night? I have to go to work tomorrow.
Wow.
And then I go to the show. And then luckily I was able to fix it with some high quality 3M epoxy.
Looking right now, Cyclone Demo Extreme DSC Nick did 160.3 at 27 hertz for 213.3.
Yes.
So your combined score, you did beat him.
Yes.
But that's still 160.3 is a freaking big number.
Oh, that's a big
higher frequency though.
Yeah. But it's still a big
that's
number.
what. Oh yeah.
Still hurts.
Well, yeah. Well, you guys are lucky that the guy from Texas who's been winning it past couple of years, DD Tank in his extreme vehicle.
Oh yeah.
That his is a straight extreme, bulletproof glass, wood, and everything everywhere, steel everywhere. His is a legit extreme Cyclone demo car, and he plays in the 20s, and he normally averages around a 60, which I think he's sandbags because he could do more.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why ruin your equipment if you don't have
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we got Jose Ramos Jr., the newest DB drag judge in California, popping in here. He says, so basically it's 5 hits at 20 hertz, then 1 at 25 hertz, averages 20.8, so it rounds up to 21 hertz is why Boom Check registers as 21 hertz on your vehicle.
Okay. But it's interesting because on Lord of Bass Nick's winning vehicle, Boom Check peaks at 20 on his vehicle, which is very strange.
Well, no, that's so he has a different cabin gain than you do. You have much more cabin gain because you're a no wall, so it takes from the whole back of your vehicle to the front, right?
Okay.
So you have a different, and he's got a wall right behind the B pillar, so it's going to be a different amount of cabin gain, which can alter the frequency, right?
Okay.
He can get a longer wave than you can, I'm sorry, you'll get a longer wave. So his might not be able to, because it's a quarter wave, eighth wave, those kind of coupling waves that could possibly change the frequency within the cab. How much deadened his doors and his windshield are versus yours, right? So you're going to have secondary waves in your vehicle, and that will really mess it up. Could change it drastically. Okay. Jose says Cyclone doesn't register peak anymore, but count average of what is played, which is correct.
That's correct. Yes.
It used to be the peak frequency when Will was telling me like he was before, right? Mm-hmm. Where it was where you had to use Boom Check. And what would happen is Boom Check would play boom, 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 boom at 20 hertz and then go boom, boom, and then go to 26 hertz. And if you didn't turn it down just slightly at that 26 hertz note, you would end up your frequency it would record would be 26 hertz.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they changed the algorithm of it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, yeah, and that's what he said. You might be using older software if it just holds the peak, and he's not wrong.
Okay.
We appreciate that. Yep. So, with that being said, so what's your favorite show you've been to of all time?
Favorite show of all time?
Yep.
Would probably. I'm going to set Surf City aside because that's, new, cool.
Uh-huh.
But the Autorama in the 90s was unbeatable as far as there would be 100 cars lined up to compete. And back then it was, I think, just T.W.I.C.A. And, there was,
U.S.A.C. It was U.S.A.C. because that was Mike Jaffe doing it.
Okay. When I competed in for the first time I competed in 96.
Oh, it might have been somebody.
It was just T.W.I.C.A. and they had SBL and then they had sound quality show at the same time.
Okay.
And then they had a category called Sound Q Plus, which they gave you a bonus up to 135 decibels.
Right.
And it was it was using the audio control microphones and that kind of stuff. They ran your RTA, and then the SBL portion was also on the audio control mic. So it was just my first show. And I won, and then I was just hooked after that. And I competed in every Autorama up until 2019 was the first Autorama I didn't compete in.
Okay.
And so when I came back this year, I used my Integra because that was operational at the time. And I was like, oh yeah, I saw a DC Audio guy in the lanes, and I said, oh, DC Audio, I think I'm going to take him. And and so I wasn't planning on competing, but I said, all right, I'm competitive with DC just from the past when I started competing. So I said, okay, I want to run my car through the lane, and my head unit was shaking so much. I turned it up 2 clicks, and the subs that I had built, I knew were like maybe 1/8 of an inch too long for the gap, and I got the coils to slap. And then when I went to turn it down a notch, I turned it up a notch, and got them to clank more, and I lost the sub. And then, I just kind of turned it down until that run was over. But I'm lucky I did, because I got enough points to get to World Finals. And had I not attended that show, I wouldn't have had enough points to qualify.
Oh, awesome. Jose Ramos says, pro tip, use Subsonic Suicide track. Easy 20 hertz.
Yeah.
Subsonic Suicide.
It's like as soon as you hear that song start to play, it's going to do 20 hertz.
Okay.
A lot of the guys in Texas play it, and it's like, man, it took me a while to find that song. Somebody had mentioned it to me, and it was on YouTube, and but it's also available. I think I had a guy give me his USB, and it was on there. But yeah, I was like,
that's good info. That's good info, because obviously, I mean, my system doesn't peak at 19. That's just what that song peaks at. So obviously, I want a song to peak at 20, just so I can squeeze a little bit more out of the system. So that's good advice. Thanks. Thanks, Ramos.
Hey, he said, I always thought the Widow coils were slapping the bottom. It was just the box tearing apart. That's when you know you're loud, is when your box starts tearing itself apart from the inside. I built back in the day when 150 was loud. I took a true particle board box, and I literally built it in the parking lot. I mean, as Jeff knows, I've talked about that here a lot of times, is I would literally build boxes in the parking lot at the show. I installed 215s in it. It did a 150, and by the end of the show, that box was just destroyed on the bottom inside.
Sawdust.
Yeah, it was no good. I think I was doing like a 42 at the end, but I got my 150 point something right to start the show,
That's funny.
Yep. Let's see here. He says, he posted a link to a Google Drive for that song.
Okay.
So
is it not available on iTunes or Spotify?
I don't believe so. I think it was really made popular by another organization. I believe it's a ISPLL, I believe, or something.
Oh, God.
I think that's what they use. You know how we use Boom Check? I think that's what they use for their song. And I think there's different variations. There's multiple frequencies that it's available in. I think that's probably maybe it's a reason why it's not on like like iTunes or something like that. There's so many different versions, and I think it's like it's screwed or whatever they call it these days.
Yeah. Slowed and screwed was what we used to do. Steve Willis says 150 still loud.
Yeah, I agree. 150 is still loud. It's the benchmark, right? Like if you're a weightlifter, like 225 is like the breakthrough. Like when you get 225, you're like, okay, I'm getting strong, right?
I'll tell you right now, if I had 1,500 watts and I didn't hit 150, I would be utterly depressed.
Yeah.
But I've been building systems for a long time and understand the, behind it, what's all going on,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd be utterly depressed if I didn't build a 150 vehicle with at least 1,500 watts. Just saying.
Yeah.
So Ramos says they have all frequencies from 15 to 32 hertz, and that link is from their website.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So if you guys want to do that, that's in the Facebook chat. If you're listening to this back on Spotify or something like that, you can go to the Facebook on Sonic FX on Facebook. Click on the podcast and go through the comments, and you can find it. Steve Willis says 150 is for the new kids. Eric Hansen says he's certified at 152. Daniel New says 150s is easy. Hey, like Will said, it's truly like it's the mark to beat, right? It's your first mark of when you're starting to get loud, and I think that's what 150 is nowadays. So.
Well, then I mean, but you have to quantify it, right? Because 150 at 60 hertz is real easy, right? But then you're like, you know what? I don't want to play fart noises, right?
Right.
So then, like when I broke my first 150, I think it was 07. And I was super happy. It's like I broke 150 at 30 hertz. I'm super happy about that, right? Out of the trunk of my Mazda, right? And then I said, you know what? My new goal is to break a 150 at 20.
Okay.
And I wasn't able to break that 150 at 20 until I did the 221s out of the trunk. Well, the box was in the trunk, but the 21s were in the back seat, if you will, because I built those really dual magnet subwoofers along with Ken Brown that were about 24 inches deep. And I was finally able to, I think I did like a 151 at 20 hertz, and that vehicle did a 156, I believe, at 27 or 28 hertz. And then at that point, I was like, you know what? I have a secondary car now. This isn't my daily driver. I'm going to build a wall. And that's when I went to the 415s. And there's so many from the very beginning of that car. I was married when I got the car, and she was anti-stereo. So I always, anything that I did to that car, I had to do it real sneakily, right?
Okay.
Like, is that a new radio? I go, no. Hey, you have bass in this car? No. I built an ID system, and I put a grill up so you couldn't see the woofer magnet, so my trunk still looked fully operational. So I always built it in mind that I have to have my back seat because someone's going to get upset with me. And then that relationship's over. I'm like, I don't have kids, and no one sat in my back seat in 10 years. I might as well just 86 it.
Yeah.
Yep. What did Moses and Rosita say? Space for bass, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And most people don't realize the Mazda 6 has a 17 cubic foot trunk.
That's probably bigger than your no-wall box was, wasn't it, Jeff? Or pretty damn close.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's a really big trunk. And the first time I put 18s in it, I fiberglassed every nook and cranny of that trunk to get as much airspace. And I didn't have room for batteries, so I had to put the batteries inside the speaker box.
Yep. And now with the lithium, I mean, shoot.
It's game changer.
Yeah. Jose Ramos Jr. says, everybody's welcome. I'm still going to be louder in Cyclone, though.
Well.
Call out.
Hold on, is that Junior?
That is Junior.
Sorry, Junior.
So does Lord of Bass have a vehicle in every class, like no wall, and extreme, or not in extreme yet? Right?
No. There's nobody that competes in extreme. Me and Nick are the only ones that do Cyclone. Lord of Bass Manny, he's the bass racer.
Oh, right.
And he does it occasionally. He'll do the Cyclone.
Yeah, and he's the 1K guy.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people on the team who don't compete but show up to shows just to demo their vehicles.
And also, I will say the Lord of Bass people, even in some of the guys that don't compete, when they show up to the show, they're there to assist other people, hold doors, talk to them about their systems, get demos, give demos, they're very interactive as a team with the shows.
And is that your specific role? What it says on your shirt there? Does that say Sergeant of Arms?
Yes, it's Sergeant of Arms. So
is that
so our team used to be called Team Ultra, right?
Yep.
Team Ultra.
Team Ultra was a team, right? Because it was if you had Team Edition, basically, So for people who don't know, thelordofbass.com is a part supplier, so you can buy motors, baskets, everything you need to build your woofers. So originally, the team version of the products that he sold, we marketed as Ultra.
Yeah.
And then, but most people don't, when they look up Team Ultra, you're not going to find the Lord of Base. So marketing decision, hey, we're just going to be Team Lord of Base now. And Team Ultra, I mean, we still have the icon on the sleeve.
Oh, okay.
But
And they were also sponsors of World Finals like for 2 different years also. Ultra was.
So it's just kind of a throwback on the shirt. So, I mean, there's still dust caps, and every now and then I'll say, I want to throw some Ultra dust caps on it, kind of throw it back. But you know, this particular build, this is the first time that I had built my car specifically for Cyclone and not just for numbers. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go into it. I'm going to tune it low. Normally I tune my speaker boxes around 25. I said, I'm going to tune this box at 19. And I still have a few tricks up my sleeve because the car's 90% done. I didn't have time to really get into it and fix all the issues that I want to fix on the car. So I think the car, the way it is now, still has some longevity where I can get through another season and be competitive. And then once I feel like the car's not competitive, then it'll probably get sold for scrap because no one's going to want a car with torn sheet metal.
Jose Ramos Jr. says, it's okay. No wall is getting stripped and rebuilt.
Wow.
He says, just happy my no wall score lasted like 4 years.
At 30 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, damn, Jose.
I think the vehicles too are different now. I think he runs like a Yukon or Tahoe, and then the 2 louder vehicles. I think up there in Canada, she's got a sedan too, right? Is that right?
She had a sedan last year. I believe she has a Chevy, a full-size Chevy truck with a install in the bed of the truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yours is sedan, right?
Sedan, yes.
So in 2022 and 2023, when he competed, it was 1 minute. He is right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's when it switched. I believe was 22. It switched to 1 minute.
Oh, I apologize.
But he didn't go to World Finals because that was the national finals. So,
gotcha.
Steve Willis says, I remember meeting Will at 2016 finals, then seeing you at Lowe's many years after that.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, he worked at Lowe's. Yeah.
She has a blow-through regular cab pickup truck now. Is what Daniel New says.
I think the guy.
He's a Canuck. He knows.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, he would know. But it's kind of going away from like the big SUVs. It's kind of more like smaller now. Maybe that's the tip.
Well, it helps. I mean, rip sheet metal's rip sheet metal though.
Yep.
Right.
Junior says it's in reality it's a 4-year-old sandbagger score, but good job.
Hey, well, my score is a recent sandbagger score.
Oh.
Yeah, because I met him for the first time at he did the last show that I went to get the points to qualify, and he told me, he said, hey, the key is to sandbag and win. And people are going to see your sandbag score, and they're going to shoot to beat that score. But there's always 2 dB left. There's always 2 dB left in the hopper, right?
Yep.
Got to.
So, Mr. Ramos, make sure you can beat a one. Make sure you can beat a 157.
Ooh, I think he's calling you out, Junior.
Yes, I'm twice as old as you, Junior.
That's awesome. So when this day is all said and done and people will remember you and you're no longer in the car audio industry, what would you want that memory to be of you in the car audio world?
That I'm a helpful guy. I'm cool. I don't talk a lot of shit. I razz people, but I'm helpful. I mean, I've been doing it. I built my first speaker box with a jigsaw, and I screwed the box together with a hand screwdriver, and I have, all these blisters to prove it. And it was like every day building a different speaker box, just making up stuff because, internet wasn't available back then. There weren't, I mean, I guess I had the internet, but they had something called Prodigy, which was a precursor to AOL, but they didn't have speaker box forums. There were not pictures. There were not concepts. You just had to know somebody who knew how to do it and look over the shoulder and get ideas, or you look in magazines. And I don't know I had a subscription to Auto Sound and Security in high school.
Right.
And their how-to tutorials were like the worst. They would show you step 1, and then step 2. You're like, what did you do between the steps? I don't know how you got there. and you're trying to figure out, okay, I saw they mix Bondo, and the next thing you know, they have a pod. And, and I never bought those VHS tapes where they showed you how to make custom door panels, which I wish I would have, because I would have learned a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were a lot of money. Remember, they would have those in the back of the books. It would always be like, hey, order these books and we'll show you how to make door panels and match them perfectly. And they show you these vinyl door panels that look factory. You're like, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then I didn't have access to a fabric, like a real wholesale fabric store. So you actually
Joann's Fabrics.
Yeah, you went to Joann's Fabrics. Well,
That's
Joann's
right.
Fabrics doesn't have stretchable vinyl.
Nope.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, you talk to somebody who goes, you got to separate the backing from the vinyl if you want it to stretch.
Yep.
And you're taking this vinyl that's as hard as cardboard, that's made for bus benches on a bus, and you're ripping them apart with a heat gun, and you're trying to figure it out, and then you're like, oh yeah, I got it. And then you get a hole in it, and you're like, that's where I want. So
I remember those
everything was
magazines. Those magazines used to have ads for like Installer Institute, but it was always like somewhere in Arizona or somewhere really far, and that's how you would get the knowledge.
Yeah, and or just you hang around stereo shops and they have an install bay that's open, and you befriend people and you just kind of look over their shoulder and you're like, wow, that's crazy. How did you do that? How did you bend the NDF? You're like, I curved it.
Curved it.
What does that mean?
What's perfect?
Yeah. Steve Willis says AutoSound security was the best. I mean, for what it was awesome. So were you part of the Term Pro forum back in the day?
I was very active in the Term Pro forum.
What was your name in that?
It was Mad Vibes Car Audio.
Mad Vibes?
Yeah.
I was Scuba Guy.
Okay, I think I remember Scuba Guy.
So my member number was under 100.
Okay, so I looked up like how long I had been a member, and it showed the date. But I was like, okay, I've been a member since 2002, but my email associated with that account had been hacked, so I deleted it.
Oh, okay.
And so I also lost my crypto because of that, and crypto won't respond. So
no, they
whatever.
don't. They don't.
Damn.
Yeah. So whatever, right? My fault for not having two-party verification.
Right.
Because you get lazy, use the same password on websites. Then one of those websites gets defunct, and somebody hacks this old website. Next thing you know, they go, "Hey, this is a shot in the dark." I'm at work. I get a message saying your DoorDash order is ready for pickup.
Oh no.
And I was like, that looks like an official DoorDash number. And then I open my DoorDash and I see an order had been placed for 4 Baconators, 4 French fries, and 4 Cokes. And then I log into my email, and then I just see all this. You purchased this on eBay. You did this. You did that. Like, oh gosh! I log into my Amazon, and when I log into my Amazon account, my Amazon password had been changed, and the email address had come up where my email address was what had a Russian. It was like .ru instead of .com.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow! So luckily they weren't able to purchase anything through Amazon. Luckily the stuff that they purchased hadn't shipped, so I was able to cancel. And then it's a moment of pure, like, I'm afraid now. I just deleted the whole account because I didn't know how, they sent out these mass password reset,
Right.
and half the stuff they try to reset passwords on, I never had accounts with these companies, but they were still trying it. Like, hey, reset list, reset this, reset that, and I was like, these guys aren't terrible. So. But they messed up because they didn't delete the emails fast enough. So when I open my phone, I see the first email that I saw that was open was an EA Sports account. And I was like, dude, I haven't opened an EA Sports account since like 2010 when I used to play NCAA football. But they reset my EA Sports account. And I was like, there might be trouble on the horizon. And then I wake up in the morning and I have 4,000 emails.
Ooh.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I was. Yeah.
Steve Willis says he was SPL freak on the Term Pro forum. Who were you, Jeff?
I think I was under my competitor name. It was Team XS SPL Jeffrey.
Which is what you still are in my phone today.
Yeah.
And remember, they had a pretty good classified section on that site.
It wasn't bad. It was definitely cheaper than you can get or whatever. But their help section was really good. as far as like finding somebody to help you design a box, and people talking about theory on how to build louder boxes and stuff like that. That was actually really good in that section.
Yeah.
But there was a reason why it got shut down. Let's be honest. So,
It got a little out of hand.
Yeah, it got out of hand.
I got ripped off for 2 digital design 18s. I shipped somebody these 18s in Colorado. Still remember his name and his address, surprisingly. And he gave the UPS driver fake money orders. Oh. And as soon as I opened up the envelope, I pull out these photocopied money orders that were cut out with scissors, and my heart sank. And I go, I just got ripped off. But luckily, I filed a police report in Colorado. They ended up arresting the guy. He actually uses his real home address, and they said, "What do you want to do? Do you want him to pay restitution, or do you want him to go to jail?" I said, "Oh, I want him to go to jail." And they said, "Well, if he goes to jail, you're not getting restitution." And so I said, "Well, does he have a job?" And they said, "No." Then I go, "Then how am I going to get restitution?" And then so 2 years later, I checked the mailbox, and I have the full amount plus court fees in a check. Oh, and at that time I was struggling. So I have this $1,500 check in the mailbox, and I go, wow, I just lucked out. I had moved addresses and everything, and it showed up. I was like, I got lucky.
Yeah.
Steve Willis piping in. He was in the he was in the Colorado area, and he says, "Who is it, Will?"
Well, I could tell you. I mean, I really want to tell you his address and his name because I remember it all like it was yesterday. But he lived in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Daniel News says, I remember Wayne tried to bring back around 2017, but Facebook pages just have way more people participate and comment. Yeah, I remember him trying to bring it back too, and my my forum number was still the same. So so I was still.
It just wasn't the same when he tried to bring. Yeah, it wasn't.
It some was like watered down. Yeah. Like Iggy's Ghost and stuff wasn't doing the stuff he was doing. He says, "What's his name? Eddie?"
No.
Oh.
Steve's trying to figure this out. He goes, "All right, who do I know that was shady? Let's go."
Okay. His initials were CJ.
CJ, there you go, Steve.
Yeah.
Now Steve's gonna be racking his brain. All right. Hey, well, we're already right at our hour. So,
okay.
Jeffrey, you want to hit him?
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not sure if you've watched or how many times you watched the show, but there's a question that we ask all of our guests at the end of the podcast. Okay. Basically, we want to know, what is your definition of a bass head?
All right. So do you remember maybe 20 years ago, it was bass heads versus tweakers, right? Do you remember? Doug might remember this.
I don't think so. I don't remember.
But those were a different type of bass head.
Yes, a different type of bass head. Bass heads were people who were into bass, and tweakers were into guys who were into tweaking their systems for sound quality.
Okay.
Right. So
that wasn't the guys in my neighborhood. We had bass heads and tweakers that were different.
I'm from West Sacramento. We have bass heads and tweakers.
Yeah.
Okay. Plenty of them. All right. So I honestly felt that I wanted to be both. I didn't want just to be a bass head. I didn't want to just be a sound quality guy. So what I like about bass is I'm somebody who wants it loud, I want it low, and I want it to be clear, because I want people to say, you have the best sounding system at this car show. And it may not be the loudest, but I always want to have the best sounding system. So I just always try to build my system with that in mind, where I don't care how loud it is. If it doesn't sound good, I'm not going to be happy with it. If my car sounds like it's going to rip apart, if I hear rattles, if the car sounds gross, and I know it's a fad in certain areas, it's a fad to have your trunk sound like it's going to explode, right?
Yeah.
But which is cool, but I just want people to hear the music and not my car. So, bass head's a lifestyle. I've been doing this since I was, 13 years old. I'm 45 now, and I don't think I'm going to grow out of it. My hearing's still fine. And, people who have this hobby know it's a hobby that really doesn't die. It's a productive hobby. It keeps you out of trouble. You know, people in your family know where you're at. Hey, hey, you're not running the streets. You're working on a car. You know, like I wish I could build a motor. I can't build a motor, but I can build subwoofer boxes. I can hook up stuff, and you know, I can tinker. Right. So anybody who's in the sport really knows, like, it's about tinkering. It's about, you know, finding magic. Right. My car in high school was magic. The speakers, the area of the box, the size of the box, the area of air inside the car. That Prelude that I had, that I competed with, was extremely loud outside the vehicle, probably one of my loudest. But that car was magical. Just everything worked right. I haven't found magic with my Mazda yet, right? Okay. And I haven't found magic since then. And people are like, what makes magic? I go, magic's when you put a system in a car and it's 10 decibels louder than it should be for what's in there. Because we've all heard that car where you said, that's 212s? Are you serious? And you look at it and you're like, there's nothing special. It's a square box, ported, 2,000 watt amp. But for whatever reason, where they placed it, how they tuned it, their car makes magic. And that shit gets me super excited, because you'll roll up on somebody that has 4.8s in their car and you look at them, you're like, are you shitting me? That's 4.8s? So I like kind of that, like, less is more, right? And my buddy Ed, Barney72, King Barney72, if anybody's on Instagram, who got me into it, he taught me that a long time ago. Hey, use less mids and highs, use more power. And it was like kind of something that I live by. Hey, I'm going to put mids and highs in my car that can handle power, and I'm going to run a shit ton to them rather than fill my doors up with a bunch of mid ranges and run 100 watts to each one.
Oh yeah.
Let's put speakers that can handle power. Let's run 1,000 to each door. And so Doug knows. Doug's seen every iteration of that car, because he's been my judge since almost the beginning of DB Drag. So
Steve Willis says Gorilla trying to get out of the trunk. He says he's selling his ass to get new amps. And then he says, talk about magic. He said the Samurai's magic. And Jose Jr. says my Suburban, in the SS1K days was 3 dBs of magic. And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And Junior also says, you better make sure that 57 isn't a bluff.
Hey, I can do 57s in my sleep.
Oh, all right. Like I said,
it hurts.
Hey, and I'll run it with the car off.
There you go.
Oh.
Well, you know, with these lithium batteries and stuff, some people are a lot better off with the 100%. Car not running.
Oh yeah, I mean they're more expensive, but you know, when I last competed, I had a total of 8 Group 31 AGMs in my car. And at the time, nobody made an aftermarket alternator for my Mazda. So I ran my stock 135, and I could get 15 minutes of charging before my alternator overheated. Right. And I'm at 12.8 every show, and it was like great, but that much weight on a unibody frame is not good. And now my battery weighs about 80 pounds, and it doesn't, I drop maybe 0.1 during a 1 minute run. So it's great.
Yeah. So would you say that would be kind of like what brought you back was like the new technology, like the you don't need that much space for batteries.
Not for your
you don't need to have like a super gauze type woofer, you know, double magnets anymore, or
no, you know, it was honestly just hearing my buddy's Nick's car, because he does about a 164 at 26 hertz. And so sitting in his sedan, and he has full leg room in this Chrysler 300, right? He has 518s in a Chrysler 300, full leg room, so you're not scrunched. And I looked at him, and I caught the bug again. I said, I'm coming back.
There you go.
I'm bringing the Mazda back. I tried to build my Integra for it at first, and then the Integra, I have a 2nd generation Integra, and they don't have window frames, right?
That makes it tough.
So you know, the windows flopping like this, and they don't make any replacement parts for the window guides. So you snap your window guide. So now when you close your door, it goes pow. And I'm like, I'm kind of restoring this car, and I'm not going to ruin it with the stereo. So I might as well bring back the Mazda, which is ruined 15 years ago by the stereo.
Yeah.
So
Junior says bet on your score. Yeah, I think he wants to see who's louder.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm all about that.
Yeah, well, Autorama coming up last weekend of April, I think.
Well, I don't think he's going to be ready for the Autorama.
Really?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to be ready for the Autorama.
Autorama Sacramento 2025. Let's see what it says. Autorama Sacramento 2025. Dates to be announced soon. All right, they haven't announced the date.
Okay, well,
but generally it's the first weekend of May or last weekend of March, April. Last weekend of April, first weekend of May.
So I can tell Mr. Ramos this. I'm willing to put $500 cash to whoever's at the Autorama.
Hold on, wait. Say that again. We just want to be clear.
I'm willing to put $500 on whoever is louder at the Autorama.
There you go, Junior.
Dang.
$500 to the loudest at Autorama. He says, it's okay. The only show that matters is finals.
Well, we can do finals.
Yeah, I don't think he has a problem with just any show.
Any show.
Any show you want to bring it to, Jose.
That's
confidence.
That's
yeah,
confidence.
Junior. And you know what? Junior's definitely no slouch, right? I mean, he's multiple years.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And the great thing about something like this, wow. Pulls out.
Dang.
Make it 1K. You on.
Ooh, double it.
Okay. No wall. Cyclone no wall.
Cyclone no wall.
World Finals.
He says, I just need somebody to challenge me. He just needs a challenge.
Okay. World Finals next year.
World Finals 2025.
1K.
$1,000.
Absolutely.
Cyclone no wall.
Absolutely.
Bet good.
Enough time.
All you got to do is say bet good right there in the chat.
It's
Junior.
good. That's good.
I got a bet good from Will. Let's see. Oh, Senior says that. Oh, that was Senior that said the $1,000.
Wow, he's got confidence in his son.
He does.
Yeah.
Senior.
Wait, which one competes in no wall? Is it Junior or Senior?
Junior does the no wall. Senior
right.
does the wall.
Does the wall. Okay.
Yep.
Whoa.
All you got to do is say bet good. Come on, Senior. Step up. No, he just, Jose said, what happened to Autorama? Oh. Hey, he says he's ready whenever you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. We on.
Whoa.
Autorama.
Autorama? Is that where
It's
we
on.
want to do this?
Let's do it.
I mean, we're going to get some people coming from Texas to Autorama too, just saying.
Hey, they might be wasting their gas.
Dang.
Whoa. All kinds.
Let's
Either
get this
one,
on the
bet
flyers.
good. He said bet good, Jose. Jose
All
said
right,
bet good.
Up for grabs.
Let's do it.
All right. All right, guys. This is for everyone in that class. Canada has some competition. So, Junior says finals.
Junior says finals.
Junior says finals. Daniel says everyone that Canada finally has some competition. Is that what you're saying, Daniel?
What?
I don't know. California's held the record and the world champion for Cyclone for a few years now. That's a big ask. Just saying.
And you know who I was worried about? I was worried about the guy out of he's on Team Wall Street. He won finals last year.
Tennessee.
Ron.
Yeah.
Wall Street Ron. He
Wall Street
had
Ron.
he had the older Ford, I think, or the older truck.
Yeah,
It was
the
older
older square body Ford.
He won previously.
Yeah, he won last
finals. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he got more amplifier power and a better battery bank. And so I figured he was sandbagging. I was like, Wall Street Ron sandbagging.
Yeah.
Because his score it didn't seem like his score changed much. And so I was like, he's sandbagging. And I was like, he was the one I was nervous about. But
Junior says just make sure you don't blow us up.
Oh, I won't blow us up. It might come unglued, but I won't blow it.
All right, guys. Where would somebody check out your builds, pictures, videos, what shows you're going to next, all that?
I purposely didn't post pictures of my Mazda on Instagram when I was building it.
Okay.
So I haven't got around to posting, but I'll show all my build pics of the Mazda now. It's at IG Mad Vibes Audio.
Mad Vibes.
Mad Vibes Audio for you guys that want to check them out on that. All right, got any sponsors or people you want to thank or whatever, Will?
I want to thank Lord of Bass. I want to thank Skyhead Car Audio. I want to thank King's Cabinetry and Ed King specifically. I want to thank my boo for tolerating all of the lost hours we had together.
Yeah.
Also, want to thank Gately Audio and Warpath.
Okay. All right, Jeffrey, what do you got?
Awesome.
Any final thoughts from you, Jeff?
No, it's good to see Will. I think there was a finals out in Sacramento. I remember seeing him at. I think I remember him.
2016.
This was back when they had the RTA. And I remember he was there with the computer, with the term labs, like getting everything, squared away, with the RTA and all those different frequencies and stuff like that. So it's good to see that you're back. You're doing DB Drag, you're doing Cyclone now without the RTA, which is a good thing for a lot of people.
Yes.
And so man, just keep working hard.
I appreciate it.
Doing what you're doing.
Hey, the fourth World Finals with the charm.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. Took him 4 to win one. Jose Ramos, Lord of Bass versus Fat Boys at finals, 1K.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, I want to thank
I'll start saving my aluminum cans.
That's a lot of aluminum cans,
hey,
even in California.
To a pound. I'm on it.
Want to thank our sponsors once again. Bass, Badass Sounds by Steve, Stolman Transportation LLC, and E-Box Design and Install. If you guys like the things that we do here on the podcast, you want to support somebody who supports the things that you like, please let those people know that you were sent there by T.W.I.C.A, This Week in Car Audio, or whatever, the podcast. So just let them know this is rolling up on completing our 4th year. We only got another 5 shows left or 6 shows left, and we'll have completed complete 4 years, and we'll be rolling into our 5th year. Yeah. Season 4 will be running on to the end of the year here, and then we'll be on season 5. All right, guys. Once again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out with us. Will, great job talking. It was a good time hanging out with you, talking with you.
Appreciate it.
If you guys got somebody else that you guys want to have on the podcast, just let us know. We'll try and get a hold of these people, and we'll try and get them on the podcast. Once again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, we tune in every Monday night at 5:30 California time, the only time that matters. We will see you guys next week on This Week in Car Audio. Peace. We out.